the double biceps. It is in the contract and legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. Loving that bicep look right there. All right, that's enough of that. It's definitely not something that I made up to show off my biceps at every possible opportunity. Definitely not at all. We are here to talk about the Knuckles Up 3 event, which took place on the weekend just gone, April 11th, in New Jersey. Fantastic event took place there, and we saw some very interesting matches take place. And I wanted to talk about some of the good, the bad, and the ugly of the event, and some of the things that I think worked really well, and some of the things I think could be improved. So we'll hopefully see some people jump in the chat here as well. I know the timing is a little bit strange for the US. It's probably 11 p.m., something like that, but that's okay. We'll if anyone jumps in, we will continue on regardless. But the easy thing, an easy place to start with. Oh, look at that. There we go. Just as I say that, the Drew, the ever faithful, the Drew has jumped in. Oh, hey, he says. Oh, hey to you, Mr. Drew. Usually up quite late, I know, in Las Vegas. So good to see you here. Might be working late, but always good to have the Drew on board. Any arm wrestling content around the world, you will see the Drew, and any YouTube video, you will see his comments there. That the YouTube algorithm boosting comment, which is always from the Drew. It's 8:30 p.m. in Vegas. Well, that's pretty good. That's a decent time for everyone. We should hopefully see some people jump in here. We are going to be talking about the Knuckles Up event that took place in New Jersey and saw some very interesting matches go down. But yeah, it's probably the easy place to start would be the good. And the good for me were the actual matches and the competitors. I think that the matchups that they put together were very evenly set up between two competitors that had very good skill sets, and it resulted in a lot of close fought battles and some interesting matches. Even if it was a blowout result wise, there was still a very interesting battle that took place. There was probably only one match that really went differently to the way I thought it would have gone, and that was Wayne Withers and Mega Mike, which was a 3-0 win for Mega Mike. And it was a strange result for me. Like, I'm sure that people have seen the match, or if they haven't, very simply, Wayne Withers tried to slip, and Mega Mike just held on to him and pinned him, and that happened 3 times in a row. I was astounded that was the result. Yeah, that was it. It was like, well, okay. So it was a little strange of a match because we didn't really get to see a lot of back and forth. We didn't get to see a lot of technique or anything like that. There was just those moments that happened that took place with Wayne trying to slip, and he just couldn't. He was trying to get out, and Mike just had like a super hard grip on his thumb and got the pin. But the good for me was the matchups. I think that when we were looking at the card, I was talking about this with Ryan and Dave with AWE about the card that they'd put together. And we said this is probably one of the best cards you could do outside of having your absolute elite guys in there, because he's covered the Knuckles Up crew have covered all of the areas and regions of the world with the competitors that they've got there. They've really gone with the Asia Pacific region, the Oceania region. They've got North America in there. They've got Canada. There's all sorts of areas of the world that they put together to try to get people to be interested in watching their guy compete. So obviously we've got Korea, the number one, and then we had Japan as well, was also represented, as well as Mario Tambakis from Australia. We had Jason Merlot, obviously, from the United States, and there was several United States competitors on the card, as always. But there was so many people from different regions, and Nadia Wojcinski as well from Ukraine. So they really sort of covered a lot of the areas of the world to cover the interest level. And of course, the main event with Kamil and Aslanov, both guys being from the Eastern Europe side, and Mindaugas as well, of course. Yeah, I thought it was a clever move. Tom Holland, of course, from the UK. So if you look up and down the card, there's people from all around the world on here. It wasn't like you were just watching the United States compete against the United States. There was Korea, there was Australia, there was Bulgaria, there was Ukraine, there was Japan. It was a plethora of countries. I thought it was very clever and a very good move to do that. One of the clever things that promotions will do, and you'll see the UFC doing this all the time, is if they are holding an event, let's say the UFC comes to Sydney in Australia, the majority of the guys fighting on that card are going to be from Australia. They're going to have like the headliner, and maybe the co-main event is going to be potentially two Americans or two big superstars of the sport to get interest in people buying the event. The rest of the card is going to be stacked with local guys versus so maybe they'll have an American, or maybe it would be Australian versus Australian, but they want to have people watching to get interest in the event. The way to get interest is have them from your own country, get that patriotism side of things going. So that's regardless as to where you go around the world. If the UFC went to, let's say Japan, you'd see a lot of Japanese fighters on there that you'd never have heard of before. It's because they want the people watching in attendance to have somebody to cheer for and somebody to root for. So rather than putting two people in there that you've never heard of, or the expense of flying out to American guys, it's like just get a local guy and somebody else that maybe doesn't cost us that much. We'll put them together. People watching have somebody to cheer for. They've got their hometown hero. So that is one way to reduce your expenses, because let's say you put a card on in here in Adelaide, and you want to stack the card with all US fighters. Well, you might as well have done it in the US, because it's going to cost you an absolute fortune to bring all those guys out here. It's like, unless you've got a crowd where you can charge maybe extra ticket prices, but it's going to sell out anyway. I mean, people here are going to go to the event. It's going to sell out. Same in most areas of the world. UFC's going there. We want to go. We want to see it. Doesn't matter who's on the card to start with. We'll go for the promotion first, and then we'll go because the fight is second. So that is a big element, and a lot of people get that wrong. A lot of fighters get that wrong, where they think that they're more important than the organization. Bowen Quintano, hey Matt, hey to you too, sir. One of the phenomenal arm wrestlers we've got here in Australia, and we were just talking about Mario Tambakis and Bowen Quintano from the Sydney Spartans Club as well. I'm sure that he was watching Mario compete on the weekend against Jason Mallow, and it would have been very happy with the result, as I was as well. And Ryan Bowen, we were both doing a live commentary together, and we got the pleasure of seeing such a technical battle going on back and forth with Jason and Mario. And Bowen, good to see you in here, my friend. I hope you're doing well, and we will hopefully see you on the table again soon. How's your training and everything going? I hope that we'll get to see a big match for you coming up for the rest of the year. We've still got quite 7 months to go in the rest of this year. We'll definitely be hoping to see you on the table as much as possible. So, yes, in terms of promotional moves, I think it was very clever of Knuckles Up to do that, to get as many people from around the world, give them an opportunity, put them on a big platform, bring them to New Jersey, and showcase them to the arm wrestling world. And that's what we saw with Mario Tambakis being against Jason Mallow. It's probably the biggest platform that Mario has been on for enjoying or being able to go and showcase his skill set, which is what we saw there. I really liked that. I thought that was a very clever, very good move from the Knuckles Up crew. The other good side of what the Knuckles Up crew do, and what they've done at each event, is they really take care of their athletes, and they make sure that the guys that are competing on the card get to feel like superstars. And Ryan Bowen has said that it was the best experience he's had with an organization. Not only small things like, just picking you up from the airport and making sure that you know what you're doing and having an itinerary of this is where we're going, this is what we're going to be doing. They took them to restaurants and they paid for all the meals, and they took them here and they had big sponsorship packages, and here's a shirt, here's your jacket, here's some headphones, here's some other things. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. And I think that really does make an athlete feel special. Like I'm really being valued here. This is a fantastic experience. And the guys that run the event, you can tell that they really do care about the athletes. They want to make sure that the athletes have a good time at their event. And Bowen has said he did a great job, even cutting all the weight and still won. Yeah, my right arm is coming back. Feels strong again. My hook feels stronger. Also, way more than my top roll. Wow, that's interesting. And 100% hoping to get back on the table for comps and so on. I didn't know you were facing an injury. Oh, did I? No, I did. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about the injury. But if your hook is feeling stronger than your top roll, that's a surprise, because I mean that's your ace. It's your number one go-to weapon. So that is definitely interesting. Yeah. Well, obviously, you're more of a left-hand based arm wrestler in terms of the results that you've had. I know you're sort of ambidextrous, can do both, but yeah, that's a very interesting result there. Maybe it's the result of training with the guys like Mario and Lachlan and all the other guys that are at that top elite level in Australia at the Sydney Spartans Club. So yes, we'll hope to see you back on the table, my friend. You are a phenomenal athlete and one of the best fired up competitors. It's basically Australia's version of Matt Mask, who's Bowen Contado. You can see him on the AWE channel. Yeah, so that was the good side of what Knuckles Up did. And I'll probably finish on the good with just the two guys that run the event. You can see that they really care about the athletes. They really want to put on a great show, and they're passionate about it. And that really does come across with the guys they're in good moods. They're being treated really well. I think the promoters are doing everything that they can to make sure that the athlete has a great time and that they're as professional as possible. They're still learning from their side. It's only Knuckles Up 3. I mean, 3 events in, so there are still some teething issues and still some other things to work out from the production side, which is where I'll be heading to with the bad. Unfortunately, these aren't things that I'm gonna say are wrong or that they were disastrous or anything like that, but they're just things that can be improved on. And cheers, bro, says Bowen Contado, and good to see you in here, mate. And I hope you stick around for a bit. We'll talk about this event. So yes, so the bad. Unfortunately, they were plagued with production issues, and this is probably going to be a bit of a mix of the bad and the ugly here. But the production side, whether it was the team or whether they just were faced with issues the whole time, but there were some major things that happened continuously throughout the show, which did affect the viewing experience, unfortunately. The good thing is we got to see all of the matches. There was never a match that we missed. There was never a dropout in the stream. So that side of it was good. Unfortunately, they did have some moments where this is probably the most difficult thing for them was that they had a very big delay in their start time. I think they were supposed to, well, for me, it was 6:30 in the morning. But so I was up at 5:30. I had everything ready, and we got Ryan on stream, and we're ready to go at about 6:15. And we're waiting. We're talking about the event. Then we go live. Okay, cool. Then Knuckles Up logo appears. Yep, cool. We're about to start. Fantastic. And they're running a series of ads, and the ads sort of kept looping. It'd been 5 minutes, so I'm sure they'll be coming on soon. We're talking to all the people in the chat. Then it got to 10 minutes, and it's still the same thing. And it's like, oh, they're probably running a little bit behind. And then it got to like 30 minutes, and then it was 40 minutes. And I can't actually remember how long it was, but I think it was close. It was either 45 minutes or it was an hour or something. It was very, very delayed. which is unfortunate. The good thing is they had something on the screen, but yeah, it was just the same ads repeating over and over. And everyone in the comments was saying, is there something wrong with my stream? Am I not? Is it not playing properly? All I'm seeing is these ads. So, even if they'd sort of went live with their commentators and whoever that they were using, I know they had Jake and they had what's the Ryan Espy. And if they said, okay, look, we're just going to go live with you guys. We're not ready for everything yet. We're having problems, but talk to the audience and just, I don't know, run through the card, give a pre-show, do something. It would have probably worked better after the 10-minute mark of running those pre-looped ads, because people were starting to wonder, like, is this, have I done something wrong? Is this the wrong platform to be viewing this on? I'm just seeing the same ads over and over. Although it would have been good for the guys who paid for the ads. The dentist ad, I think we saw the dentist ad about 70 times. He got his money worth, that's for sure. Clerks 93 says, is Mario vs. Playman? Yeah, I believe that's the next one at Knuckles Up 4. So that's amazing. And great to hear these matches getting announced early as well. As soon as the event is finished, they're sort of saying, hey, this is what the next thing is for you. So that is a good thing, and that's probably under the listing of good things that they did at the event. I thought that was very valuable. So the production issue side of it, if you're running sort of 10, 15 minutes late, okay, let's go live and we'll put our announcers and our commentators who are professionals in this, and they should be, and Jake, I know especially, he could talk for 20 hours straight and you wouldn't get bored. It's like, okay, guys, we're running behind. We're going to go live. Just start talking about the event, introduce the card, go through the matches, whatever, until we say, hey, we're ready. And if it's 45 minutes or an hour, people that are watching aren't going to be too frustrated, because you're going to be getting constant updates from those guys, from Jake, from Ryan. And they're going to be saying, look, we're not quite ready yet. We're just getting everything finalized. They're having some issues, like with production or whatever. We'll be on soon. But this is the match we're doing. And what do you think, Ryan, about this? And this. So that can become sort of the entertainment while you're waiting for the actual matches to take place. So anyway, it was I think it was around an hour before they actually got their first match up and running. And, things happen. It's unfortunate and it sucks. Like, I know we've had issues with AWE. Like 2 minutes before we're about to go live, we're running back and forth because this thing isn't quite right and the stream key doesn't work and this thing isn't. It's like, I can't. So behind the scenes, it can be absolutely chaotic. And yeah, so it's probably a good idea they didn't go live if they weren't able to control what was going on. As in, maybe my suggestion of, hey, you should have gone live and gone with Ryan and Jake. It's like, yeah, we would have. We couldn't go live. We couldn't get the cameras to work, or we couldn't change angles, or we were stuck on a view of the roof or something. I don't know. It's like maybe they had issues like that. And it's like, I would have loved to have done that. You are right, but we couldn't. So there are problems that pop up. And this is unfortunate for the guys who are running it. You can see that they love this event. They love the guys that are competing in it. They wanted to do everything right. And those sort of things, they're out of your hands, because you can hire a production crew and explain everything. This is what we need to do. We need these camera angles, and you run through it. Maybe you've rehearsed with them and you've set up everything. You've looked and you've double checked and made sure everything's all good. And then you go live and it doesn't work. And that's where you really need a very professional production crew that knows what they're doing, that's experienced, that understands problems and how to fix them. And it didn't feel like that was what was happening on the day. It felt like the guys that they had didn't have a complete understanding of arm wrestling, and they didn't understand how the angles should have worked. There were so many times when we had camera angles looking straight down just as a match was about to start. It's a terrible angle. I've always hated that one from the roof. And there was another moment where we had the classic side-on view of the match, which is, what you want most of the time, like 99% of the time. You want that view. It shows pretty much everything. And then a camera would drop down from the roof and sit perfectly in the middle of the frame and block your view. It's like, get that bloody camera out of the way. Again, Not saying this is a major thing that went wrong, but it's just small little things and teething issues that take place that you're like, oh yeah, that stupid camera wasn't supposed to be there, or where they let it go too early. Next time that won't happen again, and it's fine. We can accept that when we're when we're doing these things, especially in new organizations. You know, you look back at early days of UFC or early days of any combat sports organization, and it'll be vastly different to the way that they are now, especially if they're several hundred events into, and they found the formula, they found the production team, they found the people that know what they're doing and how to react in certain situations. Then it will run smoothly. But at the start, where you're trying to figure this stuff out, especially when it's live and it's on the fly, and you're having problems, and you're like, I don't know what the problem is, and they're going, I don't know how to fix the problem, and somebody else is going, let me try this, and then you switch to a shot of what was it? Greg Yeo. Greg Yeo just casually sitting watching the screen. And then it's like, oh, I'm on the screen. And then it disappears and goes back to the match. And that happened a couple of times. Which, obviously that made me laugh, because that happened probably 4 times throughout the event. And I don't know if I have one here, but there's a switcher. No, that's not one, but like basically in production, you'd have buttons, and each button is a camera view, and you'd have this one is your main event, your main table. This one's your top one. This one's whatever. This one over here is your Greg Yeo one. You don't want to be pressing that until it's time to talk to Greg Yeo. And maybe they've hit that accidentally or something. I don't know, but they've switched to the wrong view a couple of times, which, not a big deal, but kind of funny. Again, teething issues, production side of things. They'll get it right next time, I hope. But yes, those issues were sort of plaguing the event. That there was a few on-screen graphic errors as well, which we noticed when Ryan jumped on for his halftime live. His name was Levi somehow. I don't know. It was, the name came up under his instead of saying Ryan Bowen, it said Levi somebody or another. And halfway through it swapped over to Ryan Bowen. But it's the pre-match stat cards as well. So here's Jason Mallow and here's Mario Tambakas. They're coming up to the table, and here's the 2 graphics showing okay, this is Jason Mallow, and he's got a 18-inch bicep, and Mario's got a 20-inch bicep or whatever. Those cards were on the screen for about 3 seconds, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, and it was gone. It was like, oh, I didn't get a chance to read that. That could have held that on the screen for probably at least, you want at least 10 to 15 seconds of that to actually give you the chance to read and compare the stats. Also, a couple of the times the pictures were incorrect for the athletes. We saw, was it there was for Camille, I think it's for Camille, and they said Camille, and they had his stats, and there was a picture of Mindaugas. This made me laugh. We had the same thing with AWE too. Even though I had given the production crew the names, which I had done in Photoshop, all spelt correctly. I don't know, they must have redone them or something, but Ryan Bowen with an EN, which is how you spell it, suddenly became Ryan Bowen. So I don't know, they must have respelled it or retyped it in, and they got that wrong. But on the fly, when it's live and you're seeing it pop up on the screen, you're like, that isn't right. But I'm sitting here in the commentary booth, and I can't go and tell the production crew, hey, can you fix that? And it's not a big deal anyway. We just move on. But yes, in terms of production, I think that there's some issues that need to be addressed in terms of which crew that you're using, and they probably need to adjust, and they need to see, well, these were the mistakes that happened. Why did they happen, and what do we need to do to make sure they don't happen in the next one? Because I'm sure there'll be other things that happen at the next one, and then you try to fix them, and then there'll be other things that happen at the next one. So, but you improve and you get better as you go, and you fix these problems, and then the next ones, you fix those problems, and the next ones. And then when you do have a problem that arises from 4 events ago, you're like, I know how to fix that. Give me a sec. You just got to flick this or do that. No problems. Sorted. and that's how you progress, and that's how you get better. It's the same as getting on the table for the first time. You have no idea what you're doing. The Schmo says that Drew threatened him on Discord, so I'm here. Well, maybe he said you have to get in and watch Hollywood. I don't know. The Drew's giving him the sunglasses icon there. Good to see you, Schmo. Yeah, but so those production side of things can be frustrating, and I want to bring this up here because this was a Reddit thread that I found on the event. Leading up to the event, we had a skinny Asian who says that I don't feel there's going to be many people who will spend $16 for this event. And JLo212 says, yeah, this really shouldn't be $16 or even a pay-per-view at all. Need the big names to justify spending money like that. Hate to say it, but it is what it is. What did you guys think on the pricing? It was $16 US for us here in Australia. It was $25 for the event. I like the guys that run it, and I was happy to support them. $25, no problems from me. I think that it was worth the money, mainly because I'm wanting to support the people behind it, and I'm wanting to support the athletes. I'm wanting to support arm wrestling overall. I don't think that the casual fan or people who are slightly interested would pay that amount. Or even pay at all, really, which is one of those frustrating things, is that we're trying to put arm wrestling in front of as many eyes as possible. And this is one of the reasons with AWE is we've gone sort of the free model where everything we do is freely available, and it's on YouTube and you can see it, and we do live streams for free. And all of our matches and everything, you just wait 24 hours and there's, because we've got to edit it. Here's professional 3-camera angled view of the result of the match or the tournament or whatever we've done. So those things, we try to do that so that more people can see arm wrestling as much as possible. When you put a paywall in front of it, you're going to immediately eliminate a lot of people from wanting to watch the event, which, it is what it is. And if you have enough marketing promotional power and stars on the card that can get people to buy your event, then sure, you can charge, and you can charge whatever the market will dictate, really. Did they have that with this card? Maybe not. But the arm wrestling world will dictate that depending on how many buyers that they actually ended up with. I don't know that information, and that'll be up to Knuckles Up 3, the High Five crew, whether they release that or not. But you would hope that they made a profit or they covered costs so that they can continue doing this, because the last thing you want is for guys to put on an event, give it absolutely everything they've got, and fly people from all around the world and lose a lot of money. So yes, we don't want to see that happen. I didn't want to see that happen. I'm happy to support the guys, specifically because I do like them, and I do like the promotion. I like the fact they're treating their athletes really well, and that they're big, passionate fans of arm wrestling. The Drew says, I always say it's good to go 30 minutes live to test everything and to talk and to check audio setup, etc. Absolutely. Yes, you are correct, Drew. It's good to go 30 minutes live. Yeah. That's one of the things, though, Drew, is as soon as you hit that live button, you can't unhit it. And if you're having issues and it's 30 minutes before you're supposed to go, you'd rather have those issues offline than online. When you hit that on, like, let's go live button, you want everything going well. And, you don't want to be sitting here, like, say I was sitting here talking to you guys now and my microphone just dropped out. And it took me 10 minutes to figure out how to fix it. And are you guys going to stick around for 10 minutes, not being able to hear me and seeing me fumbling around with cables and stuff until it comes back? Possibly not. But yeah, it's 30 minutes. I know what you mean. If you're saying without going live, 30 minutes prior to going live, absolutely. Make sure you double check, triple check everything. That's why every time I go live with anybody, I'm on at least 30 minutes prior to, and I just sit, I'm happy to sit in the window and just wait there until they're ready to go. But I know my setup is correct. I know that I can see myself, they can see me, I can hear myself, they can hear me. And yeah, it's one of those things. But as soon as you hit that live button, you're just hoping that everything works. And at that point, you're presenting the show, you're doing the show, you're now talking to the audience, and technical issues you don't want to be dealing with technical issues at that point, especially we saw Ryan and RBJ a few weeks ago on their first episode that they did, and they had some audio echoing happening, which I still don't think they understood what actually happened there. There was some major problem with when every time RBJ would say anything, he you'd hear it 3 times. It was very frustrating. And you can see Ryan messing around with settings, and RBJ's messing around, and it was like, we're just going to have to go with it, because otherwise we turn off the stream and spend an hour trying to figure out what the problem is, go live again, and maybe still have the same problem. So yeah, technical issues are never fun to deal with. The Drew, like you said, to talk to the audience, give basic info, update the official start time. No one will be upset. The live starts 30 minutes early before the event actually starts. Yeah, I get what you're saying, my friend. You're saying let's say the first match is scheduled for 7 p.m. and you're going to go live at 6:30 p.m. with Jake and with Ryan, and it's like awesome. So Jake and Ryan start talking to the audience at 6:30, and they're talking to the crowd in the arena, but they're also talking to the streamers and everyone that's watching on pay-per-view. And that way, if there is a delay, they're just going to continue running with, well, okay, we'll have the matches on soon. And if they're entertaining enough, you sort of forget that you're waiting. Oh, just as I say that, my camera switches back and forth. This is great. Oh, you're just giving me some examples of technical issues, are you, computer? Thank you very much for that. That's great. Yeah, hopefully everything will look good now. I don't know. It switched back to a different camera and then came back to my original camera. Anyway, but yeah, we're talking about technical issues, and there you go. There's a technical issue right there. And I'm just sitting here, haven't changed a single thing, and all of a sudden that happens. It's just me in this room, by the way. So it's not like I have a production crew. But there you go. Official countdown timer. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's a great idea. You might be shooting yourself in the foot with that, Drew, because as you just suggested, if people are in 30 minutes early before the actual first match is, and then you've got a countdown timer, and you do run into issues, it's like as soon as that countdown timer ends and you haven't started yet, and maybe it's going to be 20 minutes, they go, oh, they're so far behind. It's unbelievable. They should have started 20 minutes. You'll get that instead. Whereas if the guys are talking, they're entertaining, they're charismatic, and then maybe they're interviewing one of the guys on the card. Maybe they're talking to this guy. Maybe they're running the highlights, or maybe they're doing this and that and whatever. They can distract you from the fact that they are having technical issues and they can't start yet. So that is one of the skills of a good commentator and a good presenter, is they will sit there and you will be entertained watching them. They'll be talking about this and that and telling you a story and all other things, and we don't know what. And behind them, the place is on fire, but they're like, oh, we'll be starting soon as we put the fire out and rebuild the entire building and bring people back to life and, build a time machine. As soon as that happens, we'll get to the matches. So, yes, it's one of those things. Yes, they can update the timer. Well, if you're watching a timer and you got 10 minutes to go, and then it's like all of a sudden it says 30 minutes to go, it's like, hang on a sec, they've changed the timer. I think the timer isn't a good idea. I think the timer is going to be a double-edged sword. I don't think it's a good idea. But my solution is go live, have a good presenter, have a good charismatic commentator, talk about the matches. You can drag that out forever. You can drag that out for 2 hours, having a pre-show, and make it fun and make it interesting, and be like, oh, the pre-show was absolutely amazing. I couldn't even remember actually what time they were supposed to start, but if it's entertaining, people will watch. And that's the premise, and that's the point there. But yeah, unfortunately, we did see some issues for Knuckles Up 3, and I'll just scroll on my thing I wanted to show everyone here. I'll bring that back up on the Reddit thread. RootCon says, I'm not trying to be a hater, but I don't know if I'd watch this for free. Engen might be turning into a complete nutcase, but at least the guy puts up epic cards. Well, yeah, you wouldn't watch it for free. Okay, well, I guess one of those things with being an arm wrestling fan is that you'd really want to have the people that are into the sport supporting the sport. And sure, you wouldn't watch the event if you don't know the people involved, but maybe you could watch it from a I want to support arm wrestling point of view. And maybe I have never heard of these guys, but let me watch anyway and just see what happens and how the promotion works and whether or not I do like this, give it a go, because that's more valuable than just saying I won't even watch it. It's not worth my time. Well, if that's your attitude and that's everyone's attitude in the sport, we'll never ever grow. You'll never ever see new organizations or new pullers getting opportunities because people only ever want to watch the elite. And it's like, if you only want to watch the elite guys won't be around forever. Majority of them are over the age of 50. So there will come a point where you've either seen the elite guys go against each other so many times that you don't want to see it anymore, or they start to get injured, or they start to retire. And if you haven't got the next generation of superstars on board, what's going to happen? You're not going to have anything to watch at all. So if you're not willing to watch an event that people have put time and effort and money and, the athletes have trained their absolute butt off to compete in, and somebody presents that for free, then you'd have to be questioning what level of arm wrestling fan you actually are. Maybe you're what we would consider a casual fan. If you're only going to watch the elite events, well, you're probably not that big of an arm wrestling fan, to be honest. Virtual Sherbet. He says, regretfully, I paid for the pay-per-view and they never actually streamed the event. They just showed the intros and ads again and again. I've suffered through streaming issues, sound issues, lag, and a lot of pay-per-view of arm wrestling. This is the worst. Also, the ads are bad. Yeah, there was some issues they had. Unfortunately, Virtual Sherbet, as we were just discussing there, sometimes things don't go the way that you want them to. And there was obviously something that was happening in the background where they either couldn't go live, or they weren't able to maybe get cameras set up, or maybe they were having such a massive issue that they couldn't get things on the air. And I'm sure these guys wanted to be on the air more than anything. So I think if you had sort of looked around any of the threads or live chats, if you jumped onto YouTube, you would have been able to jump into our live commentary and said, hey, is everyone else having problems with the stream? We had a lot of people do that, and we were able to update many people constantly and just saying, look, they're having problems, because one of the advantages of Ryan having a big network is he was able to directly message with Will, who's one of the owners of Knuckles Up, of High Five, and Will said, "Yep, we're not far away. We're having problems. Stay tuned. 10 minutes. Give us 10 minutes." So there we go. And Mimi Sky 18 says, the screens on stage wouldn't load the images. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up as well with the problems with the production. I'll get to that in one second. I just want to finish my thought on the comment here from Virtual Sherbet, and that was that he thought that the event didn't even take place, which is a major problem. You've got somebody that's paid for the event. They've sat down in front of their computer or their phone or whatever, or their TV, and they've sat and watched 40 minutes worth of ads with no update at all as to whether or not the event's running late, whether it's still going ahead. So he's quit. He's gone, this was a waste of time and waste of money. He's probably not going to buy again in the future. He said it's the worst pay-per-view experience that he's had, which, is a very unfortunate situation. Communication is probably the biggest thing there. If you are running behind, let the people know you're running behind. People will understand. And especially if you say, look, guys, we can't wait to bring this event. This is going to be amazing. Thank you so much for buying the event. We are having problems. It's unfortunate. We didn't want this to happen. We want to get things happening and get the event rolling. Right now, we can't. We're not able to. There's some issue with, I know, a camera or with the live stream or whatever. But we will, as soon as we can, jump on and maybe have even if there was just text on the window that said, look, we're having problems, sorry, we'll start as soon as we can. That would at least allow the people that are watching to know, okay, the event is still going ahead, they are having problems, and you could update that and say, look, thank you again for watching. Still dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and but just knowing and letting the audience know that there's an issue and they will be going live, because then you don't have incidents like that where Virtual Sherbet has paid for the event and he sat down to watch it. He's waited and waited and waited, and then he's given up after 40 something minutes of not having anything but ads play. And if you just watch those ads over and over, I can sense the frustration there. And last comment I wanted to get to there was Educational C, who said that suddenly King of the Table cards don't look too bad. Well, he was obviously referring to was this 10 days ago? So this was before the event took place. So maybe he's saying that he didn't like the lineup of the card or the competitors that were competing. Again, if you're only ever going to watch the 1% guys, you're going to miss out on an opportunity of seeing some absolutely incredible matches take place between people that maybe you haven't heard of them, but you might become a fan of Tom Holland. You might become a fan of Jason Malloy or Mendaga Stalkers or Daniel Everson, because you just happened to watch this event, or you spent some time to look them up on YouTube and you're like, actually, I don't mind this person. Let me see what they've got on the table. So, and there was some amazing matches back and forth between these people. Yes, getting back to Mimi Sky's comment here, probably one of the other, so I would say the worst part of it was the delay, which is unfortunate. The other major issue that I would address was the amount of time it took to review athletes' disputes. And there was a call with the Mario Tambakis and Jason Malloy match in the final round where Mario flop pressed. Initially, it was called a pin, and Jason said, hey, I didn't get pinned then. I want a review. And the referees said, okay, we can do the review process. That's fine. And we saw one replay, which was in real time, because initially, when I saw it, I thought it was a pin. When we saw the replay, but it was in real time, it was like, oh, actually, no, that doesn't look like a pin. And then so we were sort of talking back and forth about whether or not we thought that was a pin. And, that conversation went for about 5 minutes. We're waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's like, oh, look, these guys are getting a big recovery between rounds here. And it sort of kept going. And after about 10 minutes, they were waiting for this video to appear on the screen for the referees to be able to review the call. And the referees have sort of given up on waiting for the video review. They've come back to the table. They've explained to the audience the call, and they've said, we're going to restart it because we couldn't tell whether or not Jason's hand hit beneath the height of the pin pad. We're going to restart it. That's the call. And as they've said that, the video starts working. And they're like, oh, okay. So the athletes have gotten up to go up again for the final round. And it's gone, oh, hang on. No, actually, the call we've just made, we're just going to review that. So then they went over to the videos, and they stood to the videos for another 5-6 minutes to get the video call working. And from what we could see, the first video review they had was the top-down view, which is not reliable whatsoever and not relevant to what they were trying to see, whether or not his hand had gone beneath the pin pad. You don't want the top-down view. So, and plus, this is one of the other things. If you're having your referees stand there reviewing the call and reviewing the footage, you don't want the competitors involved in the review standing next to your referees and commenting and pointing at the screen and saying their input. You want just the referees to be making that decision. You don't want the athletes involved in that at all. It's not their decision. It's the referee's decision. One of the things we did deliberately with AWE and it was number 2, where we had the video review. We kept those screens away from the athletes, and so the referee was able to jump out of the cage, run around to us where we had the monitor, and they could sit and review the footage right there and then go back into the cage and make the call. Whereas if you're standing there with the competitors and they're arguing about how the call should go while you're trying to watch the footage, I don't think that was I think that could be improved in the future as well. Mimi Sky says it was frustrating for us too, because we saw it. We knew the call was bad. We were booing the ref, jokingly, of course, but it took forever. It was comical to watch. It was a long time for them to review. It was probably at least 15 minutes. And 15 minutes between rounds where both athletes are recovering. And if you were in a position where maybe you had come back specifically because your opponent was getting tired, and, in a first to 3, maybe you were down 2-0, and then your opponent, you managed to tire them out. You got a pin, and then they're exhausted. You get a second pin. Now it's 2-2. You're going into the final round, and then they get a 15-minute break. Yeah, that could be the difference between winning and losing the match, and it's nothing that you did wrong there. It's it's something that they need to address and need to fix. But I thought overall the refereeing was very, very good, very solid. I think the setups were fair. I didn't see any major issues with anything that they did. I think their communication was excellent. I think they knew the rules very well, and they were able to explain that to the competitors. Specifically, this is the rule, and section 4, whatever, the height of the pad and then in center of the table means this, and that's why we've made the decision. I think that was very, very professional. I think they did a good job overall. I think they also were hampered by the production side of things, where they've said, okay, look, we're the referees, we're going to make this call. We've been waiting for 5-6 minutes. Here's the call. We couldn't see whether or not it was a pin. We're going to restart it. And as they've said that, the video starts working. Oh, okay, actually, we're going to have to look at the video. Now they're waiting for the video, and the video is the wrong view. And it's like, come on, man. You're making the referees look bad here. But it was frustrating, unfortunately, for everyone involved: the athletes, the referees, the audience, the people watching on the stream. It was not a good experience to have from that standpoint. Benji Mac is here. He says, yo, Hollywood. Good to see you, Benji Mac. Always a pleasure to have you here in the chat. We are talking about Knuckles Up 3 and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Very quickly, the good was the guys running the event, and the matches were very well balanced, and they brought in people from all around the world. I also thought the refereeing was very, very good. The bad, unfortunately, the production side of things let them down. We had incorrect names on people. We had long video reviews. We had switching to camera views that were not the camera views you wanted to switch to. We had cameras coming down in front of other cameras. The ugly was the massive delay leading into the event. So it looks like the event was played from the production side of things, which really does fall on the production crew. And I hope that if they're going to be using that same crew again in the future, that they understand where the mistakes were made and how to fix them, because those sorts of issues, from a promoter's point of view, the guys that run High Five, they couldn't have done a better job with what they have and their skill set and their ability and their their sponsorships and the communication with the athletes. I think they did a tremendous job. Worst thing is when you get to the actual day and you've put everything together and you've scheduled it all out and you're excited and the athletes are there and you've done your weigh-ins and you've done all your promotion and you're about to get ready to go, and then the production crew goes, we can't get this going. It's some issue. You're like, what are you talking about? There's a problem with something, whatever it is. And it's like, you're letting us down here. We've done everything we can. We've hired you to do this and make sure that you're professional and get this done for us. And so that they sort of got let down a lot from that. I really hope that it doesn't affect people's feeling towards Knuckles Up in the future, because, you would hope that the people that did watch it, they were watching it because they want to support the guys, they want to support arm wrestling, and you can put up with teething issues. And Knuckles Up 3, third event. Yes, you've paid for it. Yes, it shouldn't have had issues, but reality is there's going to be issues. That things happen on shows that you can't control, especially from a promoter's point of view. If you've hired a production crew and they're having issues, you don't, those guys are arm wrestlers. They're not production guys. They don't know how to fix the problem. We hired you to do that. Like, I don't know how to get the live stream key to go. That's up to you. That's why we hired you to do that. The Drew, the flippity flop master, Benji Mac, flippity flop. Did I say that right? Flippity flop, flippity floppity. There you go. But yes, overall, I think the event was a success. They did put on 2 extra matches at the end, which was a surprise. Yeah, one of the other things was, because of that delay, we kind of got a bit burnt out. By the time the main event got around, I think our care factor had dropped a lot. We were tired. It'd been several hours, especially getting up super early for the event. And it was supposed to start at 6:30. It started at 7:30, and then by the time they got to the main event, I think it was somewhere around, it was either 12:30 or it was 1 or something like that. It was a long time. There was a lot of delays, a lot of waiting, which means we're speaking a lot. We're trying to keep energy up, and we're trying to be involved and excited about every match. Which you do start to get to a point of fatigue with that. And by the time they got to the main event, which was really starting to drag out, there was long setups, and it was a press. Every round, apart from the first round, was a press. And it's like, we know that this is going to be over in 1 second, but you're taking 7 minutes to get the setup. So yeah, it was difficult to be excited about the event at that point. I think there was probably one match too long. And one match too many. So it's probably less is more when it comes to those sort of events. And we felt the same way when watching East vs West, or where you've got 17 matches or something, and by the time you're up to the 9th match, you're just like, I just want this to be over. And it's like, and that's when the matches that you really wanted to see start coming up, and you're like, kind of not as interested now. You just, especially when there's long drawn out battles and these slips, and then they foul, and then it's like, oh, just get into it. Walk up, put your hand there, and start go. Like, it can be very frustrating. But I think one match too many for the length of the card, and maybe it wouldn't have been a problem if they didn't have the hour delay. But overall, I think the card was good. I enjoyed it. I was very happy to see Mario get the win. I think Jason Malloy is a fantastic arm wrestler, and he did everything he could to win that match. It was insane seeing Mindaugas Dorcas's power and the way he was able to get through BJ Fakakis, who is no slouch. He's a monster of a man. That guy is enormous, in very experienced and incredible hand. And he would dominate the vast majority of super heavyweights around the world. But Mindaugas had no issues dragging through BJ, and I think he's on the rise to become one of the absolute superstars in the heavyweight division. Is Mindaugas Dorcas. Mimi Sky has said, remember East versus West 3 was a lot different than the last one too. It was only number 3 for them. I think they will get better the more they do. Having Aussie there was a blessing. Keep everything cool. Absolutely. Yes, Jake Ward is a master of entertaining the crowd and making sure that even when there's delays or there's nothing happening, that you're having a good time, because he's telling funny stories. He's being charismatic. He's energetic. He's getting the crowd to cheer. He's talking about the other matches. He is somebody that has a very specific skill set where, if any time you need a moment filled, or any time you need to throw to somebody that's going to entertain the crowd for a little while you try to do some stuff behind the scenes, Jake is the man for that. He is an absolute expert in that field. But yeah, exactly. East versus West 3 was a lot different to the last one. Yeah, that's right. Knuckles Up 3 was only the 3rd event. They'll get better as they go. These are just some of the things that they can improve on. And I don't think it was actually the guys from Knuckles Up or High Five that really did anything wrong here. I think it was purely from the production side of things that let them down. And calm. Oh, it keeps everything cool and calm because Big Will was ready to snap for sure. Yeah, Ozzy is the man. You could see the pressure that and the frustration that would have been on Will's face there, or that he would have been under, because when you've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that everything goes smoothly, and then things that you can't control start going wrong, yeah, that's where it really does get frustrating. Because it's like, I've done all of my side of it. I set you guys up for victory here, and you're letting me down. So, and then on the day, like I said, Will's not a production manager. He's not a cameraman. He's not a stream expert. He's an arm wrestler. He's into arm wrestling, and he's a promoter. Why is your promoter trying to fix technical issues? It's just like, just fix it. I don't know how to fix it. that's why you're here. Fix the bloody thing. So yeah, it would be a very frustrating moment for sure for Will and the Knuckles Up guys. But overall, their event, the good thing about their event, matches were seen, everything had a result, and the matches themselves were good and entertaining. So from that point of view, that's your most important thing. If you had awesome, never dropped out, no production issue stream, and the matches sucked, no one's got to go and watch it again. If you had good matches, but you had some production issues, people will forgive that, and they'll be happy to watch it again. They'll probably have forgotten everything by the time they go to the next event. You might get a few people that go, oh, I hope they start on time this time. And everyone else is like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, they had an hour delay last time. Did they? Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, whereas if the matches are terrible and they're boring and they're just, 4 zeros or 3 zeros and it's just a wipeout, and it's like, well, that was a waste of time and money, and it went for 9 hours. I don't think you'd be that excited to watch it again, even if it had no production issues and tremendous display of the event. It's a tremendous display of something boring. It's almost like setting up like in a museum and having like fireworks and having like, all these arrows pointing to like this exhibit, and the exhibit is like a packet of Tic Tacs or something that just sits there and does nothing. It's like, yeah, I know, watching that again. I don't know, but there you go. But yeah, Movie Sky, obviously you were in person at the event. How did you feel with the in-person experience, if you were there? Hopefully you were. It looked like it was in a good venue, and that the lighting and everything was interesting. The crowd definitely seemed to get involved in the event, and there was a lot of, I could hear a lot of cheering, and I could hear a lot of yelling and clapping, and coming from the audience, it felt like everyone who was there was a big arm wrestling fan, and they were very involved. You could see when the guys would walk into the arena that they were getting cheered and they were getting supported, and the audience were really involved and wanting to see these matches, which is great to see, from not only from the athlete's point of view. I mean, what a special moment to be announced and walk out and have people cheer for you. It would be an absolute phenomenal feeling for them walking to the table, regardless as to how many people are cheering. Like, you could have 10 people or you could have 1,000 people. The fact that people are cheering for you as your name gets announced to walk up to compete is pretty bloody special. And yes, I was lucky enough to experience that in India with Propanja and Praveen Dabas and all the guys that are from there, which I was not expecting to get any. I was expecting like a super match, like at my local club's worth of them caring about me. Obviously, Ryan was the big star there, but they did actually want to see me compete, and they were excited, and which was, for me, it was one of the most crazy and surreal experiences ever, to have people want to come up and take photos and stuff with you. It's like, what? I'm Ryan's friend. I'm here to watch him like I'm competing, but it's like it's more of the fact that I'm just here, And they're like, no, we want to photo with you, and they were ringing their parents and video calling. I'm here with Mavs. All right. So yeah, that was amazing. So I know that the guys at Knuckles Up, when they walked into that arena, you could see every one of them, no matter how serious they were, every one of them had a smile on their face. Such a wonderful experience. And that's what I want people to feel as arm wrestlers, is to have those moments, because it is special. It's like, we care, we want to see you, we want you to know that you're fucking awesome, that this is, you're an incredible athlete, and we're interested in what you're going to do, and good for you for being here, and we're excited, we paid to come, and we want to see you do well. Like that's the feeling I get from this community, is so much positivity. The biggest voices online in streams and chats and comments, you do get negativity, but it's so pitiful compared to the overwhelmingly positive experience that I've had, and that I've seen others have around the world in this sport. And I tell you, every one of the guys that competed on that card would tell you that they had an absolutely tremendous time, and they thought the event was fantastic. And if you say, oh yeah, there was production issues and there was this, that's not gonna ruin their day. They're gonna be like, I had a tremendous time and everything went well, and regardless as to what actually happened in the match, they would walk away happy. And that's a credit to High Five and the Knuckles Up crew. Everyone that has competed with them, you ask anyone on that card, anyone who's competed with the High Five before, they'll tell you that they had a tremendous experience and that they felt like they were a superstar, which is such a great thing. And that's why I wanted to pay for the event. That's why I wanted to do live commentary for the event. I don't do that for some of the other places that are putting on shows, but when people are for doing their absolute best, and just trying to support the growth of arm wrestling in a positive way, I'm all over that. I'll support you guys as much as I can. I'll live stream, I'll commentate. I'm doing this right now because A, I enjoyed it, and B, I wanted to talk about some of the things I think can be improved, so that next time when you go up there, these are some of the things you could address. I don't know if they'll watch this, probably not, but even so, maybe somebody might get back to them. But yeah, it's just one of those things that everyone that has been involved in arm wrestling for me has been so supportive and so wonderful and so helpful, that I want to do the same for everyone else. And I know that you guys, every time you've been in here and talked and been on the chat, it's always been supportive and friendly, and you have a big group of people that go into everyone's streams mostly to support each other. It's not that, hey, this is the best stream ever and you're going to hear what this guy's going to say. It's like, hey, this is one of the guys from arm wrestling, and he's going to talk about arm wrestling, and I love that. And everyone else that I'm friends with that goes in the chat, they're also going to be there, and we're going to have fun. It's going to be silly, we're going to write silly comments, and we're going to support each other, which is amazing. And that's probably the biggest thing that makes me love this sport, is that side of it. I mean, you can walk into an arm wrestling club having never been there before and have an absolutely fantastic time, even if you don't get on the table. If you just go there, and the people will be so nice and so friendly and will just explain to you what they're doing, and they'll be so involved in the intricacies of different movements and passionate, and you almost feel like you can't not get on the table. And it's so funny to me when I've seen people walk in for the first time, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to watch for a little while. I'm like, that's fine, mate. If you feel like you want to jump on at any time, just let me know and we'll get you on the table. But feel free to just sit and watch. That's all good. And they'll watch for about 5 minutes before somebody's up and going, come on, just get on the table with me. Just get on. Oh, all right then. And then they're on the table for 2.5 hours and they absolutely wreck their arms, and then they can't move for a week. But they had a fantastic time. And it's like, I always say to them, like, don't go too hard, especially in your first session. I know you're having a good time, but if you put everything into every pull, you will not be able to move your arms for a week or maybe longer. So just take it easy, learn what I'm explaining to you, listen to the movements, we'll work through different positions. And as you start to get conditioned, then you can start to go a little bit harder. But essentially, it's like somebody trying to do their one arm bicep curl max for 2 hours straight. And then wonder why they're so sore, especially in a movement that you've not used to. You never really used those muscles before. It's so rare to be doing, a pronation movement or to have dynamic resistance where you're trying to move and somebody's pulling against you, and then they're hitting quickly, and then they're relaxed, and then they're hitting quickly again, and you're still in all these crazy positions you're not used to. So Dominic Lawrence is here. Hello to you, sir. Always good to see you. Oi, he says. Drew says the Dom is here. Absolutely. Good to see you in here, my friend. But it's we were talking about when people jump into arm wrestling for the first time, and I know what were your experiences like. Anyone in the chat, you want to say how you felt the first time you got on a table with somebody, and how long were you sore for? My first experience was with Devon Larratt, which that's a pretty good bloody starting point. But yeah, for me, it was he was coming through each state in Australia and putting on a seminar, and I was like, man, I want to see that. I want to go and meet Devon. I'd been watching arm wrestling, but I hadn't really ever done it before. And yeah, so the first guy I was jumping on the table with was Devon Larratt. I had no idea what I was doing. There's a great video on my YouTube channel of me gripping up with Devon, and I forgot to even hold the peg with my other hand. But the thing is that every one of these videos that I'd seen, everyone would quit against him. And I was like, if I'm going to go against Devon, I'm just going to keep trying, and I'm not going to give up. And so I didn't, and it went for like 2.5 minutes or something. And he was like, "Oh, you're not going to give up, are you?" I'm like, "Nope." Eventually, he pinned me, but yeah, that was my goal and my experience of that. And all the guys from the local club were there, and they said, "Why don't you come to the club?" And I was like, "Okay, fine." But problem was the club was 4 people, and they were on the other side of the city to me. And so, but anyway, I ended up going. It was on Tim Graham's driveway. Was where the Australian Arm Wrestling Club was to start with. Eventually, we moved into a community centre, and Tim got very busy with study and work, and asked if I wanted to take over the running of the club, which I did. And so, yeah, immediately branded it the SA Titans, and started coming up with all sorts of ideas and pushing us on social media, and creating as many videos and super matches and promotions and t-shirts and bumper stickers and all sorts of fun stuff as much as I could to promote the club. And if you've seen any of our Instagram stuff lately, but we're up to about 40 members that come along every week, every Sunday, and we're running out of tables half the time when we get on for a Sunday afternoon practice session. We got so many people, and we're having matches all the time. I think Sunday just gone, we had 6 matches, and the week before that we had 5. And people just wanted to keep getting on for matches, which is incredible. We've got a ranking system. We've got all sorts of things happening for the club. People are turning up for the first time saying, "Oh, I know I've seen this match and I've seen that," and they know who everyone is, because I give everyone a silly nickname, with the Hollywood one for me, but everyone else has got a nickname, which when you're watching a YouTube video, it's much easier to remember the nickname than it is to remember their actual name. So they walk in for the first time and they go, "Oh, you're Hollywood," or I'm like, "Yeah, hi." And they're like, "Oh, and that's the Viking, and that's the Engineer, and that's Sledge, and that's Stretch, and that's Goku," and it's like, "Yeah, you've obviously been watching us on YouTube." And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm a big fan," and all the rest of it. So, and then from there it started moving into doing podcasts and everything with Dave Stockbridge. And Dominic Lawrence has asked a question here: Matt, did you ever get around to selling AWE tables? Yeah, we do actually sell the AWE tables. The guy who makes them here in South Australia, I can give you his contact details. He has made the ones that we had at AWE. Which one was it? Oh, the AWE Underground. No, it was. Which event did we have them at? Basically, every single super match you've seen on my channel that's at the club with the AWE table, that's the table that we have. But yeah, they are for sale, and he can customize what's it called? The wrap. So it doesn't have to say AWE. You can say whatever you like on there. And I think the basic table without the customization is around 900, I think. And then with all the customization stuff, it gets up to around 1,200. But They are pristine, lightweight, but very, very solid tables. And yeah, compared to some of the other ones I've seen out there that feel like they're about to explode when you get on them, they are very, very powerful and very reliable. The reason he went with there's certain type of steel. I'm not a steel expert. I don't know how he made this, but when I was explaining to him the problem with these tables, I said, there's no one really that makes them here in Australia specifically. Like it's not like there's a shop where you can go on and you can just get one. I said, there are ones on eBay. They're absolutely terrible. They're made of plastic. And somebody in our car bought one. They're like $400. They got it. They jumped on it for about 20 minutes with two heavyweight guys. The thing almost snapped in half. They ended up sending it back. If you want to get one from the United States, the problem is, yes, they're good quality. Yes, there's some awesome places out there, Arm Assassins and all the rest of it. Problem is the shipping. And these tables are bloody heavy. Especially the top, and to ship steel from the United States, like you might pay, let's say $500-$600 for the actual table, and then the shipping will cost you $3,000. So we were lucky that I was able to find one of the guys at my gym actually, he's a metal worker, fabricator, something or another. And I said, hey, can you make us a table? And these are the problems with tables, is they're so bloody heavy, especially for transport, putting them in the car and getting them out the car every week for training. And it is a very frustrating experience when they weigh like, a ton. And so, yes, he's designed, I don't know what sort of metal it is. It's sturdy as like the actual solid steel, but it was carbon fiber or something. I don't know, but it's much lighter and very, very reliable, and they look great. So yeah, if you want, just send me a message. I'll send you his details. I'll probably put his info up on our AWE website soon as well, because we do get a couple of inquiries about the tables. One of my tenants actually makes tables as well, but that's more local stuff, and that is the heavier style. So he does those ones for $600, but that is here in Adelaide, and you wouldn't want to be paying shipping costs, because those things are incredibly heavy. And I don't just mean a little bit heavy, I mean they are ridiculously heavy. So yeah, to even ship inside of Australia would be 5 times the price of the actual thing. So I wouldn't worry about those side of it. But unless you're actually here in Adelaide with a car, I wouldn't bother about that. But the other guy that does the AWE stuff, it is light enough that you could ship without it costing an arm and a leg. But yeah, again, there's another thing with the arm wrestling community, everyone supporting each other. And you probably see with a lot of clubs out there that the stuff that the people are using, they've either made it themselves, or somebody in the club has made it, or one of their friends is, they've gotten a mate who's made it. So it's not like they're going out to the arm wrestling shop and they're getting all the stuff. You don't go down to Kmart and buy your new pads and your new legs from your table. It's people supporting each other and wanting to build things so that people can have the opportunity to arm wrestle. But prior to that, what do? You grab a table, any sort of table, kitchen table, coffee table, and just get on there with your mate and just jump around. Please get back to your history story. The last bit was arm wrestling the driveway with Tim. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes I'm going to go off on tangents. I always like to respond to people's comments and make sure that they know that they are being seen and heard and listened to. But yeah, so Tim Graham was, we were in the driveway when we first started there. We had about 4 people that would come every week. And we eventually managed to move into a community center, which was closer to me, which is better, but it's still a long bloody way. It's about 45-minute drive. We're still at that same center at the moment. But yeah, so that, and even then I remember turning up and there would be one person for many, many weeks in a row. There'd be one other person or 2 people, or, if we had 5 people, it was a busy day. We had 3 tables, I think, back then. And yeah, when I started running it as the SA Titans and branded it and started pushing all the stuff on social media and stuff, everything I could on Facebook and Instagram and all those platforms to try to get interest, and started doing podcasts with Dave Stockbridge. We were talking about, originally it started as a combat sports show, and we kept hijacking it and talking about arm wrestling. Then we ended up starting our own podcast, which was specifically designed for arm wrestling. And yeah, talking about all the different events and shows and learning about all these things. And it was great to see the growth and people in the club start to really start to take this seriously as this is probably like a real thing. I can really start to see this as a sport as opposed to a hobby. And Mega Mike, there he is. It was a great event for us competing in the event. There you go. So this is one of the legends who competed on the card. I will interrupt my own story here. I'll get back to it though. I'll remember this time, Dominic. But yes, we can't go past Mega Mike, who was able to walk away with a 3-0 victory. Well earned. It was one of the craziest matches. I was talking about this earlier on the card, where it's like your grip was just unslippable, and that was the story of the match. We saw Wayne Withers try to get out of it 3 times in a row and get caught and pinned 3 times in a row. So too strong in the hand, too strong in the fingers, and I was surprised that Wayne didn't sort of try anything different. I think his whole game plan must have been around getting into the strap, but yeah, he was not able to get there. And 3 times in a row he tried to get the slip, and Mega Mike took hold of his thumb, grabbed hold of it, and just slammed it to the pad. So well done to you, sir. I'm just trying not to sneeze here. It's on the edge. It's like, you're going to sneeze. No, you're not. You're going to sneeze. No, you're not. I think I'm okay at the moment. But if I suddenly just sneeze, that's the history behind it. Yeah. So Mega Mike, well done to you. Hopefully we'll see you on the next card as well. Looked tremendous. I would have liked to have seen some more back and forth to get a better showcase of your skill set. Not that getting a 3-0 win in dominant fashion isn't a good thing, but when you get to see some crazy battles back and forth and people having to pull out every technique that they have available, that's where it really does get interesting. So hopefully we'll find an opponent for you in the future that can really give you the challenge where you have to rely on not just your grip, but it's the power and the skill and the maneuverability of your skill set that you can see. So well done to you, sir. But yes, we started the club and moved into the community center. I started doing rankings and putting matches up on YouTube, and we've got all the SA Titans t-shirts. Everyone's got a nickname, and I did profiles for everyone. I made websites and, wrote up everyone's history and started recording who's had what matches and all the rest of it. And we saw the interest in the club start to grow. And over time, we're doing the podcasting and that sort of thing. And the AWE became a formation because Dave and I wanted to do something with Ryan Bowen. We were friends with Ryan. We were big fans of Ryan, and he was going to be having a match with Chance Shaw. And we had held an event the year prior to that at one of Dave's friends' events where we've done the Octagon stuff. And that was the Apex event. So Dave's friend Craig Ike owns the Diamondback Fighting Championship, which is an MMA event. And so we were sort of jumping in with those guys to help promote arm wrestling at the same time. So Craig Ike and Diamondback put on this big event at an oval where they were showcasing lots of different combat sports, and we were able to get involved in that and put arm wrestling together. And so that was going to be coming up again, and Ryan had announced that he was going to be facing Chance Shaw, but they hadn't said where they were going to be doing it. And we thought maybe they'll be doing it in Brisbane. We thought, we wonder if we could get Ryan to be interested to come down and have the match here at the Apex event here in Adelaide. And so we sort of put this pitch together and came up with this way we were going to present it to Ryan, and all these different ideas of how we were going to say it and phrase it and communicate it across so that it was a great pitch for him to come down and be involved in the Apex event. And Ryan was so busy at that time, we could never match up a time where we could actually all get on the phone together. And I ended up just writing it in a message. I just wrote in a message, hey, we've got the Apex event coming up. Chance and we want you guys as the main event here. Would you be keen? And then he's sent a voicemail back and said, hey, yeah, that sounds good. I'd love to do that. And then from that, it sort of branched into, I wonder what else we could do. What other people could we get on the card? Like if we've got Ryan and Chance, like that's a big deal. You know, that's a big deal for us. Let's see if we can get some other people interested in this. And then, so we were talking with Ryan back and forth, and then it sort of eventuated into, why don't we start and label this as a promotion? And so, yeah, we started coming up with ideas of names, and Arm Wrestling Entertainment was the one that stuck. So AWE was formed, and then we reached out to a lot of the top arm wrestlers in Australia and put matches together. And so that first event was at the Apex event, and it was AWE 1. That's how that took place. So the interesting thing is that, because it was at the Apex event and we were able to utilize the Octagon, but to utilize the Octagon, they were going to be having the matches on later that day. So we had to get in really early. We had to get in before the event actually started. So there was this big event with all these different combat sports happening throughout the day. But I think the event started at 12, and Craig's like, well, I need you guys to be done by 12, you know? So we had to start early, which is why if you look back at AWE 1, there's no one there in the crowd apart from the other arm wrestlers, because the doors weren't open. We couldn't have a crowd. Yes, that's the reasoning behind that, is that, we couldn't sort of sell tickets and have the general public come and watch the event, because to be able to do it in the Octagon, it had to be done in that time frame. And there was no accessibility for people to actually get into the Oval to watch the event. But the event went well, and it spawned us on to continue on with the AWE. We felt it was a success. We had it as a pay-per-view. We plagued with bloody injuries for the main event. Chance Shaw ended up getting injured, and then who else? We had somebody else lined up from America, which I can't say, who was also not able to get through. And then there was John Brezink was asked as well, I think. And we had somebody else that was lined up, and I reckon it was like 3 days before the actual event. They couldn't make it, or they got injured or something. And so we were lucky enough that Matarangi Hadamoris from New Zealand was able to step in, and we could actually get him here on time. You know, with the bloody flight times and everything, you might be able to get somebody from the United States to say, yeah, I'll do it. That'd be great. I'd love to come over. And it's like, it's going to take you 4 days to get here. So anyway, Matarangi Hadamoris stepped up, faced Ryan Bowen in the main event of AWE 1. You guys know all this already, I would hope, but I'm just sort of explaining from my point of view. It was overall, the event went really well. We had a lot of the top guys from around Australia that flew down and competed, and yeah, we were able to sort of roll that into moving towards AWE 2, which I think was one of the best events of last year for arm wrestling. I think that the production side of it went flawlessly. We got to put our hats off to the crew that ran that 1080 HD stream. From our side of it, we've hired them and said, we know that you guys do the MMA stuff, please do our stuff as well. And so we were again able to partner up with Diamondback Fighting Championships and Craig Ike and Greg Hearn, who own that, and jump into the Octagon before they had their event. Utilize the crew that they had there in terms of their production crew, their streaming crew. And yeah, we were able to put on a tremendous event. We had Toddzilla versus Matarangi Hadamoris as the main event of that. And even though it was a 4-0 win for Toddzilla, it was such a back and forth battle. That was a hard fought win for Toddzilla. Like, you know, I've never seen a man sweat more than that ever. Toddzilla is awesome. He's a lovely guy, and it was an honor for me to pick him up from the airport and to talk to him and interact with him throughout the weekend. And in that match, man, he worked so hard. Yeah, he was standing in front of me. I was commentating the event. He was standing right in front of me in the Octagon. And I said this on the stream. I'm like, it looks like he's standing in a shower. Like, that's how much water and sweat was pouring off of him. He was so hot. He was working so hard. but yeah, what a credit to Todd and to Matawaringi for putting on such an amazing event. Throughout the rest of the card, we had amazing matches as well. We had Mario Tambakis, who you would have seen on Knock Was Up 3 against Jason Mollo. He was also featured on the card with a left arm match against Artem Taranenko, which he ended up winning. Mario ended up winning. A hard-fought battle against Artem, and Artem's no slouch. He is a fantastic arm wrestler. Unfortunately, probably had the worst possible experience getting here from the airlines, which was insane. What was it? 4 days? 4 days of travel to get here. It was insane. Like that. I don't know what was happening with airlines at that time, but the amount of flights that we had booked for him that got cancelled, that got delayed, that got rescheduled, that then got delayed, and then got cancelled again and again and again and again. So yeah, him being from Florida and trying to get to Adelaide, it should have been 3 flights, and it turned out to be 18 flights, which is insane. So yes, a lot of stress for Artem to get here. He only got here just the night before the event as well. So I felt for Artem. We were always on the phone and to him, to the airlines for the whole time trying to figure out what's going on. We managed to get him from Florida to where was it? Texas or something. And then he was supposed to go from there to LA, and then then he went to Chicago or something. I don't know. It was all these rerouting of flights that shouldn't have happened, and they kept canceling it, and then they schedule it again, and then that's tomorrow morning, and then okay, we'll wait till tomorrow morning, and then that would get canceled. It was fucking God. Yeah. The worst thing was he finally got, I think he went LA to Sydney. It's a long body flight. That's like 10 hours, 11 hours or something. He finally gets to Sydney. I'm like, great. Okay. Sydney to Adelaide is only 2.5 hours on the plane. He's close. He's almost there. He's only got 1 flight to go. That flight gets cancelled. Unbelievable. But I don't know. It's a crazy winds or something. Like 70 flights got cancelled at once. So yeah, that sucked. We got in contact with Mario Tambakis, who was still in Sydney, and said, Mario, can you please go to the airport and hang out with Artem for a little while, because he's been flying for days, and just try to like say, hey, we want you to get here. We're trying to do everything we can to look after you, you know. And so I think Mario went and hung out with him for a few hours. Yes, and then he finally got to Adelaide. Yeah, and he competed against Mario Tambakis on left, and he competed against Ryan Bowen on right. Yeah, so Ryan was able to get the win on right, and Mario was able to get the win on left. Yeah, was travel a factor? Probably. Probably a factor. Not to discredit either of those guys' victories, because they were definitely hard fought, and there was probably 28 hours of rest between when he actually arrived and when he had to get onto the table. So it's not ideal, but it wasn't like he flew in and then got straight on the table. He still did have just over a day to recover. As I said, you know, with that much travel and that much time zone adjustment, it probably would have affected him in some way. But yes, it was not something we could control, and that's what we were talking about before with the Knuckles Up event. Was that you know, the production side of it out of the hands of the promoter. What can you do? You hired the people to do the job. They are struggling. They're having problems. They're having issues, and you know, you're almost pulling your hair out, going, "I've done everything I could. I've been working on this for months. I've done, you know, countless amounts of phone calls and preparation and getting everything lined up for you guys to do this event for us, and you're letting us down right now at the critical, crucial moment when everyone's watching." So yeah, not fun to have that experience. But yeah, AWE 2 rolled on, and we've moved forwards and started moving away from the pay-per-view stuff. And as we were saying before, we want to get arm wrestling in front of as many people as possible, and we decided to start going with the free matches and putting things out for free, and trying to build our names and our superstars here in Australia, in the Oceanic region, and New Zealand, and you know, everywhere that we can get from this region that the people around the world aren't familiar with. It's like, well, the best way to make them familiar with them is put them out there for free, put them in fantastic matches, and get people to say, oh, well, I've got nothing to lose by watching this. I don't know who this is, but let me have a look. And they have a look and they say, wow, this was amazing. Like, this match was amazing, or this guy is interesting. You got guys like Bowen Cortado, who's, you know, getting fired up and talking trash on the table, and you've got superstars like Richard Bourneman, who's winning the AWE Grand Prix, and you're getting attention from around the world now. So yes, we've put on the Underground series a couple of times. We've also gone with the AWE Grand Prix, and we've got 3 events we're putting together for the rest of the year, where you'll see a lot of the guys that were featured in those events getting back on the table. So what did everyone think of the Grand Prix? If you watched it, the tournament style, do you prefer tournaments? Do you prefer super matches? For us, it was really interesting to go with a tournament format. I've been pushing the guys always to go with super matches. I think that they're a better representation of an arm wrestler's skill set overall. However, it was such an incredible thing to be able to put together to say, well, who are the top guys in this part of the world? Let's get all of them into the same event, and it's a tournament. So we got everyone that we could possibly get available of the top level, and we put them all in the AWE Grand Prix. So there was 8 guys. The only ones we would have liked to have had in there was Lachlan Adair. We couldn't do it because he's under contract with Core Sports, and Mario Tambakas, who had this match lined up for Knuckles Up 3, so he wasn't able to take the event either. So or it was the Arizona State, I think. He had something else on. But so yeah, but the 8 guys that were involved in the AWE Grand Prix, they're absolutely all phenomenal. And as I said, I don't know who's going to win this, and any one of these guys could actually walk away as the champion. Ryan Bowen put up his AWE heavyweight belt as the prize, and we saw Richard Bourneman run his way through that tournament, get 4 pins in a row comfortably over these other guys who are no slouches. These guys are literally the best guys that we've got, and Richard was able to get very comfortable victories. And not only that, but after an hour of afterpool, was able to start getting pins on Lachlan Adair, which is just, you know, insane. If anyone here has jumped on the table with Lachlan, but his wrist is basically like iron, and his knowledge of the movement on table is second to none. So yes, Richard Bourneman getting opportunities which we are facilitating and looking to get the biggest matches possible for him. But maybe those things wouldn't have happened and wouldn't have eventuated if we hadn't have put these things together, and if we hadn't have made it free for everyone to be able to see. So most of the time, whenever I talk to people on stream, or if I talk to people in real life, they will talk about those events because they got to watch them. They watched them for free. And people talk about Rickard, they talk about Andy Boskowski, or they talk about Brett Coots, or they talk about Taryn Broad, or somebody that they've seen on any of our AWE stuff, Lachlan Carpenter, for example. And because you can just go and watch it. You don't have to worry about paying $20 or whatever to be able to see the event, and we're trying to convince you how good these guys are. It's like, you don't need to be convinced here, just watch this. Like, he'll send you a link, watch this guy, he's interesting, this match is crazy, it's back and forth, you just see it. So I think that's the way we've been pushing forwards for AWE, is to get as many people being able to see our competitors and our sport as possible. And I think it has really worked for us, because we've been able to build the numbers in the club, and more people are coming along every week because they want to be involved in this. They've seen what's out there. And prior to that, the majority of people, the new people that would be turning up because they'd seen the WAL matches, which are free on YouTube. You can see those on YouTube. Legendary matches that took place with high production value, with interesting characters and some amazing back and forth battles. And people would say, you know, my favorite's John Brzezinski, or my favorite's Monster Michael Todd, or it's Matt Mask, or, you know, it's Devin Larratt. And you'd say, well, where did you see him? I saw him on YouTube on WAL. Okay, great. Well, now we're getting people coming up going, I'm a fan of Ricky, or I'm a fan of Ryan Bowen, or I'm a fan of Andy Boskowski, or Lachlan Carpenter, or Mario Marcus, or, you know, any of the guys that they've seen on our AWE stuff, which is, you know, tremendous from our point of view, because it's like you're able to see that, and you wouldn't have been able to see that if we hadn't have made it free and available for everyone to be able to see. There you go. that's the story of AWE and my long rant of how things can work for you. But it's just I love the sport, and I just love talking to you guys about it. And you give me the opportunity, I'll talk to you about it forever. And I'd rather talk to people who care about it than the unfortunate punters that get cornered by me, and they're like, "I'm wrestling," and they're like, "Just leave me alone. Take my money. Stop telling me about top rolling." Yeah, so we didn't have the stream today with Paul Italia. I'm not exactly sure why. I think maybe he's still traveling back from New Jersey for the Knuckles Up 3 event. But yeah, I'm sure we will be talking about that on the next week's show. But yeah, there's always big events coming up in this world of arm wrestling, and we can't wait to see the next one. I think I'm going to wrap up everything right here. Unless anyone has any last minute questions, I'll probably go for another minute. And we'll see if anyone has anything they want to say, or if they want me to talk about any certain things. If you do, now is your opportunity to put a comment in and I will respond to it. Apart from that, I'll probably start wrapping it up. It is almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon here on a Thursday. So it might be quite late where you guys are. I know the Drew said it was 8:30 in Las Vegas. It's probably about 10 o'clock now. One of the places we'd love to go, obviously, is Las Vegas. The place in the world for events is Las Vegas. And I was lucky enough to go there on my honeymoon. And just going through the airport when you first land there, and on the walls they have all of the attractions that you can see, and it's like, oh, I want to see that. Oh, I want to see that. Oh, that looks good. Oh, there's David Copperfield. Oh, there's Penn and Teller. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. It's like, we're only here for 3 days. I want to see so many things. So yeah, absolutely incredible place, and we'd love to have an event there, and I'm sure that it would be amazing for all the US arm wrestlers to have somewhere like that to be able to go, because it's not only are you going to have a tremendous time at the arm wrestling event, but the city itself is just insane. You'd need a month to even start scratching the surface of the amount of places that they've got there. It is absolutely insane. The hotel we stayed at, the MGM Grand, had 3 arenas inside of it. Like, just in the one hotel we're in, there's 3, like, not just a small room, like a stadium. There was 3 stadiums inside the hotel. There was a zoo. There was like a million restaurants. This is one hotel of all of the ones that are out there. I mean, we didn't even see all the hotels on the strip. It was insane. So yeah, if you're around, like if you're going to the US, go to Vegas. It's absolutely amazing. Apart from the Drew's place, don't go to the Drew's place. He'll be there. Yeah, it's good to see everyone in here. I might wrap it up there. It doesn't look like there's any questions coming in last minute, but great to be able to talk to all of you about this event. And I'll hit the double biceps for you again one more time. Oh, there we go. Oh, great to see everyone. The Drew is giving me some dots. Thanks to the Drew. It means nothing to me. All right, thanks.